Not too long ago, the Canon 16-35mm f2.8 version 2 copped a lot of flack from the photography community. It wasn't seen as a high-performing lens, especially next to its little brother, the 16-35mm f4. Then Canon released this lens, the 16-35mm f2.8 version 3, and we're going to see if it's rectified all those issues. So the Canon 16-35mm f2.8 version 3, it is a wide-angle lens designed for architecture and landscape work, and with its versatile focal length can also do a bit of portrait as well. In terms of its actual construction, compared to the previous iteration of the lens, it is a bit longer, which is quite similar to the Canon 24-70mm f2.8 length, and it is a bit heavier as well. In terms of the rings on the lens, the focus and the zoom ring are well rubberized and nice and wide. The whole lens is dust and weather resistant, and the best thing about the whole construction of the lens is the focusing as well as the zooming is all done internally. So now I'm just going to go over the key features of the Canon 16-35mm f2.8 III. So firstly, it's got a constant aperture of f2.8 throughout the whole focal length, so you get consistent lighting performance, as well as depth of field control throughout the whole focal length. In addition, it's got a 9-routed aperture blade diaphragm, so you get nice and pleasing bokeh. Secondly, it's got 2 large glass molded dual surface spherical elements, combined with 1 grounded spherical element to help minimize distortion and spherical aberrations. Thirdly, it's got 2 ultra-low dispersion elements to help with chromatic aberrations, and in terms of its coatings, it's got a few. So it's got a subwave coating, a air sphere coating to help with flaring and ghosting. Hello, friend. And lastly, it's got a fluorine coating to help with smudges as well as to combat the elements. So one of the things I really wish that the 16-35mm f2.8 III has is image stabilization. Most Canon bodies don't have IS in body, and so if you're going to be using this for video and low light photography, it just may be that slightly bit more difficult. So in terms of the actual autofocus performance from the 16-35mm, is exactly what you'd expect from a USM lens in the L series lineup. It's nice and fast, reliable, and quite quiet. In terms of the actual image quality, from what I can see at the back of the screen, they've fixed the corner sharpness issue that was with the old 16-35mm f2.8. Images look really good now. They're nice and sharp, consistent throughout the photo, and I won't really know the overall image quality until I pump it into a computer, but we'll have a look at that in the next segment. This palm tree thing I'm shooting looks like a Windows XP wallpaper. If I can find it, I'll link it to you. So today's sample images were shot with a Canon 5D Mark IV and a 16-35mm f2.8 III. The Canon 16-35mm f2.8 III has definitely improved a lot from the previous iteration. Firstly, the major issues with chromatic aberrations and coma have been fixed with the new lens. In terms of sharpness, the 3 has fixed its corner sharpness issues, especially when shot wide. We've noticed that there is a bit of fall off when you zoom the lens in towards a 35mm range. However, if you just stop down the lens a bit, it does look good. Overall, a huge step up from the previous model. The image quality is amazing, it handles distortion and vignetting well, the images are sharp, full of detail, and lives up to its L series badge. So just a couple things with the 16-35mm which could be changed a bit. So firstly, the size. Yes, they have added a bit more coatings and obviously the optics had to change a bit, but the size has increased by quite a bit. So if you're going to be traveling with the lens, it may be a bit more difficult now. And secondly, because of the size and the actual weight of the lens, it's a bit harder to use. So not having that image stabilization means you're gonna have to work harder to get sharper images. And in scenarios where you don't have a lot of light as well, you may need to bring out a tripod or a monopod to get the best out of the lens. And lastly as well, with the whole new upgrade, the price has shot up a lot more from its previous iteration, and it is priced at quite a premium. So my final thoughts on the Canon 16-35mm f2.8 III. Despite its size and its lack of image stabilization and its premium price, honestly, this is a huge step up from the previous 16-35mm, and definitely the one that they should have put out 7 years ago. In terms of its actual performance, it's nice and quick, images are super sharp, and really this is what you would expect from a good wide angle lens, especially with an L series badge. I highly recommend this lens for people who are looking for a versatile wide angle lens, whether it be for landscapes, astrophotography, a bit of wide portrait work, or general travel as well. If you have any questions on the lens, make sure to pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our blog, which the links to those are in the description as well, so you can get full written reviews as well as what's going on in store. And if you enjoyed our video, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next update. So the Canon 16-35mm f2.8 III is a lens.